Oh, Artie, what's that in your cup? Pass it here now, pass it here. A tea bag? What's to do with a tea bag? It's to do with our new paper, isn't it? Mosasaurids bear the tea. You know, I got a good cup of chow. They finally come over to my side a bit. Oh, for God, no. It's Mosasaurids bear the teeth. Teeth. Just go and lie down for a bit. I'll get you a cuppa after this, all right? How we doing, everybody? So, back with another video. I thought this week I'd actually discuss a paper that's come out called Mosasaurids Bear the Teeth. And this is a topic that's covering basically all the mosasaurs that are known from the Moroccan phosphates and looking at their teeth and how the paleoecology system works in between all these different mosasaur species. So, let's crack on with it. Hey. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through every single mosasaur that's mentioned in the paper and just talk about the tooth morphology and also their paleoecology. So what do they eat and how this might have contributed to their niche partitioning, so how they stopped competing with each other and how they may have coexisted amongst each other in this environment. So the Moroccan phosphates actually stretch from the late Cretaceous period, so around about 68 million years ago, into the Eocene, so we're talking up to maybe 42 million years ago, and they're mainly made up of a lot of phosphate material, limestones, marls, and some nodules and chert here and there. And they're particularly abundant for mosasaur material. If you have a mosasaur tooth in your collection, guaranteed it's come from the Moroccan phosphates from around this time. And there was a plethora of food items in the Moroccan phosphates as well for mosasaurs, including fish, plesiosaurs, turtles, sharks, even bits of dinosaurs occasionally. You know, the odd dinosaur floats out into the bay and boom, eaten by a mosasaur. That's how life goes. So first up on the list we got Mosasaurus bugai, which was a slender-snouted relative of Mosasaurus halfmani, or sort of more robust mosasaurs from the north. Mosasaurus bugai had triangular teeth with prominent ridges on it, and this means that this animal probably was a cutter, so it would have eaten soft-bodied prey, so like large fish and other marine reptiles, and probably gained a size of about maybe 8 to 10 meters in length, so a bust-sized mosasaur, but probably not as robust as some of the competitors they had in the environment, such as Thalassotitan and Hanosaurus. Now, speaking of Mosasaurus halfmani, this animal isn't actually on the list, even though we do have credible evidence that Mosasaurus halfmani was found in the Moroccan phosphates. Now, I'm going to maybe speculate here and play a bit of devil's advocate and say that maybe the distinction between Mosasaurus halfmani teeth and teeth from very large individuals of Mosasaurus bugai look very, very similar. And in fact, I had this occurrence once a couple of years ago when I purchased what I thought was a halfmani tooth. Turned out to be a bugai tooth from a very large individual of Mosasaurus bugai. So they do look kind of similar. So if there's more research going into whether Mosasaurus halfmani was found in Morocco, great. If not, we do really need to get on that, because I do believe the species was found in Morocco and was probably one of the big bruises that Mosasaurus bugai would not challenge. Next up, we have 3 species of crinodens in the Moroccan phosphates. We have Crinodens belgicus, we have Crinodens acrodon, and we have Crinodens minimalmar. Now, these species slightly differ in the shapes of their teeth and the shapes of their jaws, with particularly Minimalmar having the more slender jaw, so this animal probably fed on softer stuff than the other species of Crinodens. And Crinodens acrodon's sort of more pointed, taller teeth meant that it was probably better at gripping, so it probably had a slightly different feeding strategy than the other 2 species of Crinodens. And Crinodens being a small mosasaur gave it an advantage, so it wouldn't compete with the larger mosasaurs, and being about 4 meters in length, it probably wouldn't compete with the larger 12-meter Hanosaurus, for example. So Crinodens with its bulbous sort of teeth would have been crushing up lots of food, so it would have been crushing up lobsters, echinoids, and the odd ammonite here and there, maybe even like a baby turtle every so often. We don't really think about that, but that's just nature, so moving on. Next up, we have the Nanotyrannos of the mosasaur world, Xenodens. Now, this animal had a very small body size of about 2 meters in length, and it had these sort of saw blade-like teeth, so this animal was probably feeding on small, soft-bodied animals, and even maybe scavenging on the dead carcasses of larger marine reptiles like other mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, so it was basically the cleaner of the Moroccan phosphates, and he was doing a very good job. You're doing a very good job, yes you are, who's a good boy? We then have probably one of the most common mosasaurs in the Moroccan phosphates, and this is Aremiosaurus heterodontus. So the heterodont teeth of this animal, which were basically slender and conical in the front, sort of more blade-like in the mid part, and then posteriorly recurved in the back, meant that this animal was very adaptable and could eat a whole host of different food items, and this made it a very successful mosasaur in the Moroccan phosphates. At about 6 meters long, this animal could bully some of the smaller mosasaurs and maybe some sharks here and there, but it was out of the way of the larger mosasaurs like Mosasaurus and Haemosaurus and Thalassotitan. So yeah, it fit quite well in there. And yeah, if you've got a mosasaur tooth in your collection, it's most likely from this fella here. There was a lot of him and he was spitting out a lot of teeth. And now we got the one, the only Thalassotitan atrox, a 10-meter robust skulled mosasaur that dominated the Moroccan phosphates. The robust teeth of this animal probably meant that it could eat almost everything, and we actually have evidence that it did. It ate turtles, plesiosaurs, and even smaller mosasaurs like this poor Haliosaurus that it keeps battering every time I bring it up. Up next we had a mosasaur that was probably equal in size to Thalassotitan atrox, and that's Prognathodon curii / Thalassotitan curii. Now, the more straightened cone-like teeth of this animal compared to Thalassotitan atrox meant that this one was probably going after turtles and ammonites a lot more frequently than Thalassotitan atrox was doing, so this probably kept them apart a lot of the time. Up next we have two species of globidens from the Moroccan phosphates. We have Globidens phosphaticus, which had the sort of more stumpier tooth, and we had Globidens simplex, which had a slightly taller tooth with less grooving features on it. At about 6 meters long, they were both around about the same size. One probably weighed more than the other, but who knows, formality's formality. Now, Simplex probably had the better gripping than Phosphaticus, so this meant that they probably had a different feeding strategy, very similar to Corinodens, so this probably kept them apart for most of the time. So they were probably eating ammonites, echinoids, lobsters, and maybe the occasional turtle. There's a star mosasaur waiting in the sea. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd bite our head off. I know, I'm sorry, but moving on. So this guy is Stellodens, the star-toothed mosasaur. Now, this fella had maybe up to 5 carinae, basically cutting edges on its teeth, and this probably meant that this animal was going after soft-bodied prey, so we're talking cephalopods mainly squid and ammonites. And this would have kept it away from the larger bruiser mosasaurs, but maybe kept it in competition with some of the smaller mosasaurs that would have preferred the softer prey, like Eremiosaurus and Haliosaurus. Now, Pleurodens serpentis and Halosaurus auroborgii, the two halosaurians found in the phosphates, they were probably eating very similar food due to the fact that they had hook-like teeth. They were probably eating soft-bodied prey in low-light conditions due to the fact that they have quite large eyes. But the key thing that kept them from competing with each other is their size. Pleurodens was about maybe up to 9 meters long in some of the largest specimens, while Halosaurus was probably around about 4 to 5 meters in some of the larger specimens. So it was literally, Pleurodens could eat bigger things because it was bigger, Halosaurus had to eat smaller things because, some of the food that Pleurodens was eating could probably eat Halosaurus, but you never know. I mean, even Pleurodens could probably eat Halosaurus occasionally, but moving on.